again. My name is Tara Magitz. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein. This is one of a continuing series of videos on various topics dealing primarily with personal injury matters, which is the main focus of our practice, although we do handle different matters here at Drinkwater and Goldstein. The majority of the advice, if not all of the advice and information, is based upon New Jersey law and should not be utilized as the law in any other state. If you do reside in another state or have been involved in an incident or accident in another state, I would strongly advise you to reach out to competent counsel in that state to confirm whether or not the information contained within this video is accurate as it relates to that state. That being said, I'm in costume because it's Halloween today. And so as we're getting into fall, we wanted to talk to you about one of the main things that we see in terms of the weather as the seasons change. So I'm going to be talking to you about weather conditions and personal injuries. So motor vehicle accidents and slip and fall incidences primarily, because you really don't see, or at least I haven't seen, weather conditions be a significant factor or cause for a medical malpractice case. So we're going to focus on motor vehicle accidents and slip and falls primarily. And so, you know, one of the ways that weather can affect both of those instances is actually by being the cause or the underlying cause of the incident or accident itself. Certainly you have probably driven on the road in bad weather and in varying types of bad weather. So if you're driving down the roadway and it has begun to rain, but it's only a light rain, drizzle, and it really hasn't started to affect the road conditions, and then you're involved in an accident, you might say, oh, the weather wasn't so great, but you probably would not consider the weather condition to be an underlying cause of the accident or a significant cause of the accident, just the bad driver who probably struck you from behind, not paying attention. But by that same token, if you're in a terrible downpour where your windshield wipers are at their highest setting and it's still not sufficient and you're having difficulty seeing and you're involved in an accident, you're probably more likely to say, yeah, I think the weather played a role in how the accident happened. And so when you're dealing with a personal injury case, the standard that has to be met in order for the other party to have liability is whether or not they were negligent. And when you are dealing with causes of the accident, weather conditions can in fact play a significant role in that, because if the argument is going to be that the weather conditions played a significant role, the second example that I gave you with the motor vehicle accident, the question is whether or not the person was really negligent. And so instead of, well, they rear-ended me, of course they were negligent. Well, the car skidded on the terribly wet road conditions and they couldn't stop in time. Okay, so under that circumstance, it's not necessarily so clear-cut a standard in terms of they have liability for the accident. So as a plaintiff's attorney, we have to start looking under those circumstances into when did the weather conditions start? What exactly was the weather condition? Was it reasonable for that person to be driving? Was that person exercising reasonable caution under the circumstances? If you can't see the roadway, you probably should not be driving 65 miles per hour. That doesn't stop people from doing that, but if you're cautiously driving in the right lane, driving slower than the speed limit in light of the road conditions, you're not going to be as responsible in an accident that occurred the way that I described as if you were in the fast lane driving 65, completely ignoring the fact that the weather conditions make that totally irresponsible to be driving that way. So the weather plays a factor, but how you drive also plays a factor. And so how we as attorneys would take a look at the weather conditions and gather that weather information is we utilize a federal government website and database called NOAA, which stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. And they have a national climatic data center. And I use this very frequently to enable me to determine when rain started, when rain stopped, how much rain fell in a particular period of time, when snow started, when snow stopped, and how much snow occurred in a period of time, and when, if my event occurs a few days after snowfall, when the first snowfall had been and when it had ended. And that becomes important in slip and fall instances in particular, because with slip and fall instances, frequently they are in fact caused by weather conditions. A lot of what we see, especially in the wintertime, is going to be people slipping and falling on snow and ice that has not been cleared or has not been cleared appropriately. And so when we're looking for whether or not the property owner had sufficient notice of the weather conditions and an opportunity to address the weather conditions. So if you fall in the parking lot of a national company going to pick up rock salt because it has just started to snow and they have not had an opportunity to clear the parking lot because it's only been snowing for a half hour, unfortunately, there's probably not going to be liability in that matter because the opportunity to cure based upon the notice is likely not sufficient. That's not 100%, but we would look at that with a very close lens. Now, by that same token, if it's 24 or 48 hours, heck, even 12 hours after the snow has stopped and nothing's been done, we're going to look at that very closely, because that company has had sufficient notice of the weather conditions and an opportunity to cure the weather conditions so that it's safe for the patrons that they want to come into their business, but have failed to do so or have failed to adequately do so. And therefore, from our perspective, there's negligence involved and you're entitled to compensation if you have in fact been injured. Now, what we are starting to see is that different municipalities are entering into local ordinances which require that the weather condition be addressed within a certain period of time, and the insurance companies are seizing, or attempting to at least, seize upon these ordinances to argue that their insured has no obligation and therefore no liability if they're compliant with the local ordinance. So a local ordinance is not, according to New Jersey case law, a sufficient grounds to avoid liability. You can't rely upon violation of a local ordinance to find liability, and the opposite, in my opinion, is also true, that you cannot rely upon compliance with a local ordinance to avoid liability under the circumstances. So our position in those instances is that whether or not there has been compliance with the local ordinance in terms of snow or ice removal, if sufficient notice has been given and an opportunity to cure has been given, even if the time period identified in the local ordinance has not been met, we make the argument that the property owner should have cleared the condition and potentially even come back out again and re-cleared the condition, because you get into with certain snowfall issues with the forming of black ice or ice on the property because of thaw and refreeze situations. And if you had attended the Berlin Fall Festival, which we had attended earlier this month in Berlin Borough, which is in New Jersey, you would have noticed that it was very rainy in the morning, and therefore anyone driving out to the Fall Festival or walking amongst the Fall Festival would want to move forward with due care, because the road conditions were in fact wet, which makes it more likely for accidents and incidences to occur. So hopefully you did come out and you did see us, and you were safe and you were not involved in an accident. But if you were for any reason, please feel free to reach out to give us a call. with any of the information that should be somewhere on the course of this video or on our website, and we will happily go over the details of your potentially weather-related accident to determine whether or not in the state of New Jersey only you have a case that can be pursued for compensation purposes. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to drop us a line, send us an email, drop a comment. We look forward to your comments, criticisms, and concerns. As always, I'm Tara McGitz. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein, which is located in the great state of New Jersey. Enjoy your Halloween and the rest of your year, and be safe. But if for some reason you cannot be safe and you are hurt, give us a call and we'll see what we can do to help you get your just compensation. See you next time. Hi, this is Tara McGitz from the law offices of Drinkwater and Goldstein. Please remember, as always, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our brand new website, helpimhurt.law. That's helpimhurt.law. And the graphic should be somewhere on this video actually identifying what that is and potentially with a link, so please feel free to come check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks. See you next time.